Art is something that everyone can be involved in, and therefore I think it is timeless in the sense that you can experience it in many different ways, whether you're making it, viewing it, buying it, collecting it. If it's something that you like, it's something that enhances a person.
Since 1971, the historic town of Duxbury in southeastern Massachusetts has been home to the Art Complex Museum. This intimate fine arts museum and regional art center houses the impressive collection of the Carl A. Weyerhaeuser family.
We're a museum as opposed to an art association, and there's a difference, and the difference is basically we have a collection and we have a family's collection, and that's really the whole reason we're here. So, I mean, Charlie's mom and Charlie's dad collected, and that's without any idea that they wanted to have a museum.
My father grew up in Little Falls, Minnesota. It's north of St. Paul. His mother was very interested in the arts, and Dad began being very interested in books. That's why this library is important to us. Well, that grew into fine art prints, and then it progressed to paintings. I didn't really appreciate it as a younger person. It was there, and he was very trusting, having all this beautiful artwork around. His collections kind of outgrew the house, and he built a room down in the basement for storing art, and he would call when he changed the art around rotations.
I think it was Charlie's mom who said, we have an awful lot of stuff here. We should be sharing this with more than just our friends. We should be sharing this with our community. And that's when the museum idea came about.
The people in Duxbury seemed to be receptive to the idea, so we broke ground in 1969 and opened in June of '71.
It's quite exciting to see it developing and knowing what we were going to have here, but none of us knew exactly the extent of the wonderful collection there.
Although modest in size, the scope of the Art Complex Museum's collection is broad and reflects the personal tastes of Carl and Edith Weyerhaeuser and their family. The major components of the collection are works on paper, American paintings, Shaker furniture, and Asian art.
Particularly my mother wanted to have something representative of our collection up at all times, so when visitors came in they could see Shaker, Asian art, ceramics, whatever we have. So she suggested that we build a section of the gallery, sort of the heart of the collection, which it is, it's right in the middle of our big gallery, and call it rotations.
And the permanent collection is worldwide in scope. We have a couple of items from prehistoric times, and they continue right up until today because we are still actively collecting. People come here and they sometimes have to ask you more than once, this really belongs to this museum? And we have to, of course, tell the truth and say yes, and we have more just like it. So I think that initial visit, if people haven't come here before, gets them to think about, wow, I don't have to go that far, perhaps, to see some great art, because it's here, and it's easy to find here in Duxbury.
Over the years, collaborations with regional artists and local groups has allowed the staff and public to view the permanent collection in new and innovative ways.
We often have exhibitions where we invite artists to work with our collection. We've been doing it with Shaker Furniture, and we would ask studio furniture makers to come in and make their version of something, or Boston printmakers. We have a pretty vast collection of prints, and we'll invite them to come in, choose a print, and maybe make a response to it.
So the dialogue between the two make for very interesting shows, and we do that with Boston sculptors and Boston printmakers, and I do that with the middle school program that we have going on now as well.
So what it does is it gives them something new to work on, something maybe outside their usual sort of bag of tricks. but it also gives us the chance to bring our collection up and give it a little bit of new life.
Given that the Weyerhaeuser family created the Art Complex Museum to share their love of art with the community, it is of no surprise that the staff are committed to collaborations with local schools, businesses, and organizations.
Well, I think that we could not survive all on our own. We need the other groups. People that are doing art in this area, they're part of all those groups, and there's a lot of crossover. And for us to play with others is just so much more beneficial and so much more fun.
If you want to be able to provide the very best for your citizenry, the residents of a community or a region, I think there's just huge value in collaborating. You know, we don't all have all of the resources that we need to provide a service or develop a program. But if you come together, you know, everybody can kind of pitch in, so much more gets accomplished.
The Art Complex Museum is operated by a small staff and a legion of dedicated and dynamic volunteers. Volunteers are the backbone of the museum and share their time and talents as well as expertise with visitors of the museum. You can find their friendly faces everywhere.
I've been volunteering there for many, many years, and I love the people that volunteer. I love being in that atmosphere and being an artist myself. It's just wonderful to be able to see all the exhibits as they come. I think art is life, and I think that it's not added to it, it is just part of your existence.
The Art Complex has always been more than a museum. The family's dream of sharing their love of art includes art in all of its forms, whether it be music, architecture, photography, classes, or demonstrations. All of these experiences expand our understanding and appreciation of the arts.
Well, as a visitor, I'm just exposed to so many new experiences here at the Art Complex Museum, from new artists and new mediums to meeting some of the greatest, coolest artists in our little region. It's just so wonderful to know that art is alive and thriving here.
I'm always excited to come to work because there's always a new show that brings a whole new set of opportunities for new projects or new artists that will come in and share what they do. It's never, ever boring. It's delightful.
Carl Weyerhaeuser had a vision for the Art Complex Museum. He wanted to collect, house, protect, and display beautiful things for the enjoyment of the public. He wanted students, artists, weekend painters, and every single visitor to take what they studied, saw, heard, and felt at the museum and be inspired to do their work better. From exhibitions to lectures, concerts to classes, collaborations to tea ceremonies, the Art Complex Museum continues to fulfill the Weyerhaeuser's vision of sharing their love of art with the community. The Art Complex Museum at Duxbury, for the love of art.